A very, very warm welcome to you. Today we have the great pleasure of speaking with Ushmi Dosaja. Thank you so much for being here. She's put her precious time aside to share about her journey inside of the Living Abundance Mastermind, this wealth work, manifestation mastery in alignment with your heart, body, and soul. Ushmi is an award-winning author and book coach. She helps soul-led creatives ditch the distraction and doubt so they can respond to the call and finally write that book their soul is calling them to write. Welcome, darling. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And I can say that I wrote my book, Money Manifestation Mastery, and it was so painful because it was sitting calling me for about 7 years. I was ignoring it. It was knocking, and I just absolutely get what you do and the importance of it. And I did need to hire someone to hold my hand to do it because I just couldn't do it on my own. So I really know the value of the space you hold and these book babies that want to be born. And it's so much easier when you got support to do it, right? So honoring you and your work. So let's cast back to before you entered in the Living Abundance Mastermind. And can you let us know a little bit about where you were at and before you joined this space?
Absolutely. So I'd recently, just before I entered, I'd pivoted into book coaching after spending 10 years doing transformational life coaching. And I wasn't getting the financial traction that I expected, wanted, but also I wasn't, if I look back now, I wasn't able to make that shift into who I needed to become to make that financial, to move the money, so to speak, into my life through the book coaching. So I was, I'd followed your work for a while. I'd seen, I think it was an interview that you'd done with Jolinda Johnson, and I'd seen that interview and I was really called to the depth that I could hear in the interview. And we spoke and I thought, yeah, this feels like this is my next level of growth. And that was, 10 months ago, 12 months ago even,
So beautiful. I still remember that call. And then when you came into the space to start the transformation work, so we focus on money, manifestation, and heart, body, soul aligned business, heart, body, soul aligned wealth, and that rewiring process of getting into alignment. What were some of the shifts and changes that you experienced inside? Like what happened for you inside the work that you feel to share?
First was the recognition that the work was going to be much deeper than simply this is about making money. There was a lot more, that was the first recognition. And then once I started working the stuff in the vault and after, being in our calls, what happened was I started, to be honest, I started taking responsibility for the shit that my life, the way it looked. I started taking responsibility for that. So I started making different decisions when it came to my relationships, the intimate personal relationships that I was in at the time. And I started believing more in my intuition that I'd always had a strong connection to, but had never really listened to. And that was a process of trust, of learning to trust myself. That was a huge inner shift. So the more I did the work, the more I learned how to receive, because that was a big thing. I realized my receiving power was switched off, and I had to go back into my family line to, figure that out, how closed down I was to receiving. But the more I began to open that up through the work that you do, that you showed us how to do, things started coming towards me. And the first thing that came to me was an ideal client, so to speak. So a client who understood the depth at which I work, was willing to pay me the price I was commanding at the time. And more than that, was really committed to working from her soul. So she didn't want to just write any kind of book. She wanted to write the book that had been calling her. And once she landed, then that gave me so much confidence in my own business as I began to see what I do actually works. It's not just woo-woo fluff. And she's just gone and published her book. That was a month ago, and it's been received really, really well. So
Wow.
that was on a business side. It was being in LAM just put me, it like the energy, everything, it put me into more of my purpose. And I began to, and I am still on this journey, beginning to understand, okay, this is what I'm here to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's amazing. And it's amazing when you manifest something that you want, like your, dream client, but it's actually the depth of the work, right? That is the true fulfilling piece, which is so amazing. So you get the result, but it's like this deep, rich, fulfilling, aligned experience. I'm so glad you had that experience. And you have another little thing to celebrate, a little award, maybe.
I do. I wrote a book of poetry, or I published a book of poetry 4 years ago. Pretty much because of my own insecurity and lack of confidence, I didn't market the book. I left it within the community that I had been a part of that I knew would receive it well. And then about 6 months into the mastermind, I developed so much that I, listening to my intuition, applied for an award, that's the Nautilus Book Awards, in the category of poetry. And I found out in May, just before I left the mastermind, that I'd won the silver category for poetry, but I'd also won a second award, so special honors for debut author of poetry. And that wouldn't have happened, I can say without a doubt, had I not been in the mastermind. I would not have trusted myself, and I would not have wanted to face the rejection of not winning the award. So I'm lucky I did, but I also know at the space, if I hadn't won that award, I would have been absolutely fine with myself, because the thing that happened in LAM, the biggest thing was I learned to value myself and value my vastness. And from that, everything changed.
Amazing. And congratulations. So beautiful. I think that's such an important thing. There's the writing of the book, you're taking the action, but then there's valuing your work and yourself enough to actually then market it, to sell it, to put yourself out there, to take that aligned action. And I also had this with my book, right? It was the pain of writing it, but then I didn't do anything with it. It was like a secret. And part of my journey was, coming out of shame and fear, and then actually sharing it with the world. And this is what happens when we're hiding who we are and dimming our power. So I'm so glad you're out more in the world, because obviously your beautiful work can then be received by others. Is there anything else on your heart that you'd like to share about your experience inside this world of wealth, that you'd like to share from your lived experience?
I think what's closest to me is the container that you've created has so much depth. And when you work it, no matter what the results are, they might be different from what you expect them to be at the beginning, but I believe that when you work it, it works for you in return. And I had that experience throughout the year that I was in the mastermind, that really go and take advantage of the depth that you give us. I know if I do it again, I will not be doing it from someone who's already done it. I'd be doing it from a beginner's mind, because it's layer upon layer of stuff. So my one piece of advice to anyone who wants to join is, well, two pieces. A, join, and B, really work it, because when you do, your life will change for the better. I know that sounds silly, but it's true.
It is. Thank you so much. And yes, it's a deep diving transformational space. we create powerful results in unexpected ways. And it's been such a pleasure working with you. Thank you so much. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you and find out more about your work, what's the best way to do that?
You can visit my website. So it's my name, ushmidosaja.com.
Right.
Yeah, or you can send me an email, ushmi@ushmidosaja.com, but those would be the two best ways. Yeah.
Beautiful. We'll put the links below this video. And if you're interested in finding out more about the Living Abundance Mastermind, how to become a money manifestation master and align with your heart, body, and soul, you can visit the link below, book in a call. We'll be happy to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much, Ushmi, for joining us today, for being such a exceptional human in the world, doing such beautiful work. It's been a pleasure to work with you, pleasure to know you. Thanks again.
Thank you.